It's time. Today, we are talking about a topic, a specific word actually, that you may think of, because I know I do. When it comes to toddlers, preschoolers, and kindergartners, I always think about this specific thing. And that is, well, if you want to find out, you have to join me. Let's talk about it. Yes, we are on the podcast side of this vlogcast. I love that I get to have this space on the internet, and a part of that is my podcast, my brand new podcast. I had a podcast a few years ago, several years ago actually, and it was called Crayons and Tantrums. But instead of doing a season two, I actually want to just restart things. I want to do this over and I want to do it right. And I really want to come from a place of transparency, just real conversations, honesty. And not only am I going to be sharing my expertise in the early childhood education field, but I'm also going to be bringing some friends on, some professionals in this field, and parents and teachers and everyone. So that way we can have these discussions. But to kick it off, we're chatting, you and I. We're having this conversation. And today we are talking about, drum roll please, repetition. Repetition. Look, I know when I think of my preschoolers or if I think of toddlers, I definitely think of this word repetition. Repetition, because children love to sing the same song over and over. They love to read that same book every single day, every single night, right? The same one 50 cajillion times. They love to repeat things. They love their same toys. They have their favorite stuffy. Repetition. It's familiar. It always brings them back to what they know. It feels good. It brings comfort. And that's where the confidence building comes in. And repetition is a key way for children to learn. Did you know that? Repetition is a key way for children to learn. And research tells us that children learn best with repetition. And I'm sure if you are a parent, a teacher, a caregiver, if you have a young child in your life, then you have definitely experienced repetition. You have definitely read a book 50 times. Am I right? Am I right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But I really wanted to get into some research that really shows us why repetition is necessary and why we should embrace it and celebrate it and not shy away from it and not push it away and not get frustrated. I mean, you're only human, so you can get frustrated, but we want to embrace it, and we want children to know that it's okay to want the same thing over and over. It's okay to read that same book, watch that same movie or show again for the 10th time or the 100th time, whatever it is. But we need to embrace it. We need to accept it. We need to celebrate it. And I think understanding a little more about it and why children learn in this way, or the effect it can have on children when repetition is used in a positive way, I think that will help you with the acceptance part. I think it can help all of us with understanding, how we can approach or how we can respond to the repetitiveness that you experience, whether it's at home or in the classroom. And so I wanted to, have that conversation. I thought it was such a great topic, especially now. Repetition, not only is it a great way for children to learn, but it is also something that we should think about when we are going through tough times. When the pandemic had hit back in 2020 and schools closed, businesses closed, jobs sent everyone home. When that happened and the world really shut down, it was the repetition, I'm sure, that brought a lot of comfort to children. The familiar routines, the familiar toys, the familiar faces and voices, and the familiar, wherever their home was, their base, that comfort. Repetition always returns children to what they know, and it helps them to feel safe and comfortable. And so that's why when we talk about routines and making sure that children have routines and that they are able to understand their routines and that the routines are not disrupted often, But when routines are disrupted, often you can see a child out of whack. You can see adults out of whack when you disrupt the routine, when you disrupt what's normal, the everyday, the familiar, the comfort. When you disrupt that, yes, it causes chaos. It definitely does. And if it causes chaos for adults, then just imagine how children feel, especially young children who are learning, who are building their skills and their awareness and their foundation. When their routines are disrupted, yes, it causes chaos and confusion, and it causes fear and uncertainty. And we want children to feel comfort as often, if not always. So when we're going through tough times in the world, in our country, maybe in your family, maybe in your hometown or wherever, when things are tough, when things are being disrupted, when the energy in the weight of the world is like, you can feel it, you can feel something's off, when that is what's happening. And I feel like we're going through a lot of that right now. It's not the pandemic, but so many things are changing in the country, whether it's just the way politics are going, whether it's the way you are responding to what you're hearing, the way you're responding in the energy that you are putting forth in your home. If that is disrupted, if that has changed in any way because of what's going on, then children feel that. That's a part of the disruption. That's a part of the change in the familiar. It's changing. The energy's off. They can feel that. And so understanding how important repetition is in the life of a young child is so important. So yes, it is a key way that children learn, but it is also something that they look for. They don't even know they're looking for it, but they're looking for it and they need it. They need it. So let's really zero in on why repetition is so important when it comes to the way children learn. I read, okay, and I have some notes here too. Let me just pull my computer up. Oh, baby. Okay, I have my computer here. I read I read this several years ago, and I talked about it before, but I'm going to talk about it again because it is so good, and I think it's such a great study to talk about and have a conversation about. But years ago, there was an article in Psychology Today, the magazine Psychology Today. There was an article, and it was called, hold on, let me get what is the title of it? So there was a study called Get This Story Straight: Contextual Repetition Promotes Word Learning. Let's talk about this study in Psychology Today, where they basically summarize some research, cutting edge research from the University of Sussex. This is so good, so good. Now, this is what they did. They took 3-year-olds. They taught 3-year-olds, okay? 3-year-olds. They taught 3-year-olds brand new words, and they did this by repeating stories, okay? They read storybooks. So there were two groups of 3-year-olds, two groups. The first group of 3-year-olds, they heard the same story 3 times in 1 week. And obviously that storybook had those new words in it. So they heard that same story 3 times. It was repeated 3 times. The second group of 3-year-olds heard those new words, but they heard it in 3 different stories. Okay, so remember, the second group, they heard 3 different stories that week, but each story had those brand new words. Okay, you got it? Good. I wanted to make sure you understood that part because that's really important. Now let's keep going. Okay, so the results. What were the results? So basically, only the kids who heard the same story could recall and retain any of the new words days later. And the other group, those children, they barely remembered the new words that they learned. They barely remembered them, and they forgot almost everything by the time the researchers came back and asked them questions and tested them. Now that's big. That's big. But let's keep talking about it. So researchers say that this is all happening or happened because of contextual repetition. Hearing the same words in the same context makes it easier for kids to latch on. It lowers distractions, helps them attach meaning, and it actually builds stronger memory. So this entire study reminds us, teaches us that repetition is necessary when teaching children. Repetition is necessary when children are learning new skills, when they're learning new words, when you want them to retain the information or bring meaning to the information, understand the information, remember, right? All of these things happen through repetition. Repetition, repetition, repetition. And this particular research shows that. It proves that. It proves it right there. So, when your child asks you again, when they say, again, can you read that story? Or they ask you, can we hear that song again? Or when they say, can we watch that movie again? Or can you play this game with me again? Or can I do the same puzzle again? Maybe you'll say, okay, of course you can do it again. Of course you can do it again. Of course you can do it as many times as you want. Because repetition is necessary when young children are learning. Absolutely is. Absolutely is. For young children, repetition is learning. It is learning. It may be the 100th time for us, but it is true learning in action. So let's walk through some ways that you can use repetition intentionally and really, really, really help your children to strengthen their skills and, of course, strengthen that confidence. Because children always return to what they know. They feel good about what they know. They feel good about what they understand. And this is not just the little ones. This, I feel, goes across the board. Our elementary kids, high schoolers, yes, adults. We all feel good about what we know, which is also why it's hard for adults to change, right? It's hard for us to make changes, to change and to try new things and to step out of our comfort zone. But that's another story for another day, another conversation for another day, for another podcast. But let's talk about some ways that you can intentionally use repetition when it comes to your children, okay? So let's talk about that. So we now know that research shows us that repetition isn't about boredom or just frustrating us. Repetition is really about context. It's about trust. It's about the brain making a connection to something and saying, hey, oh, that again, that word again, and understanding that, oh, it must be important if I'm hearing it again. It must be important, so let me latch onto it. Let me retain this. Let me really put meaning to it. That's what it's really about. So how are we using repetition in life, and how can you help your 3-year-old or your 4-year-old with learning through repetition? What can you do? Let's share a few things that you can be doing at home and even in the classroom too when it comes to little ones. All right, let's talk about 3 ways that you can intentionally use repetition at home or even in the classroom with your little learners. So number 1, let's do the biggest one first. Number 1, this is going to be just a mindset shift for some of us, not all of us, but for some of us, a mindset shift, because we are going to celebrate the again. You got that? Let me say it again. Let me say it again. We are going to celebrate the again. We're going to celebrate again and again and again, right? We're going to celebrate that. We're going to celebrate the again because this is a big one. This is really big for us because we have to embrace it. We have to celebrate it. We have to remember that this is learning for children. Your little learners are learning new things. They're building their confidence. They're building their trust. And that is what you want. That is a healthy sign of learning. When they are asking to repeat a book again, when they're asking to repeat a song again, when they're asking to repeat a show, repeat a movie, things that really draw them in or catch their attention, engage them. Of course, we're talking about the educational stuff here, but those things it's the again. It's the again effect, and we want to make sure that we are celebrating that. So number 1, I'm going to say celebrate the again. And I know that sounds celebrate it, I don't know, 100 times with Brown Bear. But no, celebrate the again. That is key. That is definitely key. All right, I have another one for you. I have another one. You ready? You're going to read the same book again and again and again. You're going to sing the same song again and again. Yes, 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 yes. I mean, this is simple, but it's so powerful. Really simple, but this is extremely powerful. So when it comes to reading the same book again, or even singing some of your child's favorite songs over and over, I would say you can keep like for the books, let's say for books, maybe you keep a small little rotation of 3 books or 4 books, maybe no more. You don't want too many options especially when it comes to your toddlers and preschoolers. Maybe have a little rotation, a small rotation of books that you keep for like a month or a few weeks, and then you can interchange them if your child allows you to. You may have to keep one of those that are always in the rotation, but maybe 3 or 4 books tops. Keep them in rotation, and you can change them out or interchange them, each night or whatever you all decide works for you. That's what you do. But keep a small rotation, and remember what the research says, that the repetition helps children with learning. So when you hear a child wanting to repeat it again, they are learning. They are learning. And you want to read the book over and over, and you can change it up slightly, but read the same story using that same book. Okay, so use that book, read it over and over. And then what you can do to make it a little more fun, a little more interesting, is you can maybe when you're reading a sentence, you can let your child finish the sentence, because after a while they start memorizing things. Or you can let your child start the next sentence or kind of guess what's going to come next. I love using Brown Bear, the book Brown Bear, as an example, because it's such a great example, because it's so repetitive. Even the way the book is formatted is repetitive. And so when children turn the page, or let's say we get to the next page with the yellow duck, before you can even read the words on the page, they're already screaming, yellow duck, right? They already know what comes next. So you can start the sentence and let them finish it. That's another way to change up how you read the book, but not really changing it too much and keeping it simple. Keeping it simple, and just remember, my child is learning. They're learning with this repetition. They're learning. And it's not necessary, especially when it comes to toddlers and preschoolers, it's not necessary for you to have 10 books and read 10 different books in one week. You can read 3 books in one week, the same 3 books in that week. You can read those same 3 books for an entire month. But just know that your child is learning. So just like the study that we talked about, there were new words, and the group that heard the same story over and over, they actually retained the words. They actually kind of put a little bit of meaning towards those words. And the children that read different stories with the same words in it, because they kept changing the stories throughout the week, those children retained almost nothing, next to nothing, not near one word, because there was too much distraction. There wasn't enough repetition. And so we know what the research says. So go ahead and read that book again. Keep a small rotation of books for several weeks. And then, of course, you change them as whatever, change them according to what suits you and your child best. Okay. All right. I have one more for you. One more. We can talk about this all day. We can keep going and going and go. But I have one more for you. One more. And that is actually maybe 2 more. Yeah, you probably already do this one, where it's building routines that work. Building routines that work and building routines that repeat themselves. So whether it's your child's morning routine, their bedtime routine, try to build routines that you're going to repeat often. So and I'm sure you already have routines going on, because naturally, when you have children, young children, you have routines. You are kind of forced to have routines, because it also helps you as well. But when you're building new routines, so let's say your child is going to go to, I don't know, a new program, they're starting preschool, yay! And you need to start building their routine for the morning. How are they going to get out in the morning? How are we getting them to preschool? How are you waking them up? Are they bathing the night before? Are you setting clothes out before? Are they picking their clothes in the morning? Like, how is this all working, and how are we doing it? So when you're thinking about building that routine, you want to build it so that it's something that you're going to be repeating every single day, something that you are capable of helping your child and guiding your child to repeat every single day. And eventually, like I'm sure you've seen, your children start to remember. They start to do so many things on their own, because it's repetitive, because it's in their memory now, because they remember, they have latched onto it, because the brain said, hey now, this is important. I mean, she's making me do this for the 100th time every morning. So, this is important. I must remember this. I must remember that I can wash my hands after I use the bathroom. I must remember that I need to brush my teeth in the morning. I must remember that I throw my plate away, or I throw my napkin away after I eat, or whatever it is, whatever the routines are, your child will start picking up on it. And they'll start gaining their own independence, which is what preschool is all about too. Preschool, gaining that independence, doing things on their own. And that's why in preschool classrooms, it is so important for us to create routines for our students. The routines that we establish and build in the classroom are necessary, and it's intentional because we want children, learners that are able to do things independently. We want children that are able to do things independently. We want them to be able to feel comfortable and feel confident about what they know and confident about what they're able to do independently. And so, in preschool classrooms, repetition is key. Yes, it is. Repetition is key in preschool classrooms. Yes, 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 it is. All of my preschool classroom teachers, let me know. Go off in the comment section, wherever you're reading this, wherever you're listening to this, wherever you're seeing this, go off in the comment section and let me know if that is true. Is it true that repetition is key in a preschool classroom? Sound off. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Do you agree? Do you not agree? I don't know. Sound off. Let me know what you think. I want to know. Let's talk about it. Okay. And the last thing I want to leave you with, number four. Okay. Let's close this out. Okay. Now, the research that we talked about in that study, the research that they did with the children was the children hearing that word over and over in the same book really helped with the retention. It really helped them to memorize and remember the word and bring meaning to that word, seeing it and making, seeing it in context. But something you can do is you can use the same word in different moments, right? So now you're reading the same book over and over and over, okay? So you're reading the same book over and over to your child, and you know that they've picked up on new words, you know that they understand the meaning. Now you can start using those words after you've done this, after you've read it for the 10th time. I mean, come on, 10 times now. You're like, I want to have a little fun. I want to do something a little different. So this is perfect. You want to start using those words, using things that you know they've learned in that specific book. You can start using those words in different moments in real life, everyday life, right? So maybe you're in the kitchen and the word is yellow because they've learned yellow duck, right? Yellow duck. So they learn the word yellow and they know that the duck in the picture is yellow. Okay. So now we're talking about the color yellow. So you can use that word yellow in different moments in their daily life. So you're in the kitchen and maybe you're taking out some yellow lemons because you're going to make fresh lemonade. I mean, fresh lemonade. There's nothing like fresh lemonade. Oh, lemonade. I think it's probably my favorite drink. Aside from water and seltzer and all those things, like lemonade. Fresh lemonade. I grew up on that. I grew up on making fresh lemonade. I was always I don't know why. We're gonna veer off for a little bit. I was like the sibling, the only one in my family who made the best lemonade. All right. And my siblings, they can fight me if they want, but they know it's true. I made the best lemonade, and everyone always said, Monica, can you make the lemonade? But lemons, back to the color yellow. All right, let's get back. See, I was distracted. Let's get back. Let's get back to what matters, because this is what matters. The color yellow. And we're going to use this word yellow in a different way, in a different moment. So you've read that story and they said the color yellow, yellow duck, yellow duck. So now we're in the kitchen and I have some yellow lemons because I'm making lemonade. And you can ask your child, oh my goodness, look, I have lemons. What color are the lemons? Yellow. Let's sing a song about yellow. Yellow lemons, whatever, right? It's using it in a different way. And it's helping them to bring meaning to that word yellow in a new way. So they're making new connections. And their brain is saying, oh, yellow, there's that word again. Oh, excuse me, there's that word again. But now I see the yellow. Oh, this is yellow. Oh, it's just like the duck was yellow in the book, right? So they're making new connections, forming new connections with that new word, So you can use the word in new ways, in new moments or different moments in your child's life. And this is intentional learning. And for you, intentional teaching, because you are intentionally setting that up or pointing that out or highlighting it, bringing life to it, and bringing that word out of the book and into real life. How good is that? Take the word out of the book and bring it into real life for your child. Let's bring a new meaning to that word. Bring a new meaning, bring life to it. So yellow is the word. Well, oh, look at that. Yellow lemons, yellow bananas. What else is yellow in the kitchen? Let's look. Let's open the refrigerator. Is there anything else yellow in here? That's how you bring the learning to life. That is how you take the word out of the book and you bring meaning to it, bring life to it. Allow your child to make the connection in their brain in a new way with that new word that they're learning because they've read that book, that brown bear book with the yellow duck. They've read that over and over and over and over. And so now it's time to take some of those words that they've learned in that book, pull them out, bring them to life in the real world, in their real life, in real moments that are happening in their natural environment. That's called repetition. All of that stems from repetition. That is all a product of repetition. Your child being able to make the connection with the color yellow to things that are in your kitchen, in the refrigerator, that are also the color yellow. Why are they learning that? Because of repetition. Why do they watch Circle Time with Miss Monica over and over and they know those colors? Why do they like that Good Morning Train song? The repetition. Not only the rhythm of the song, it's the repetition of the song. Because the song keeps repeating itself over and over and over again. The words change slightly with the colors, but it's the repetition. And then I have parents say, my child learned their colors just with you because they sang that song every day. Or they learned their colors with you. I didn't even know they knew their colors. Probably because they heard that song every single episode. And it was at the beginning of every single episode. Repetitive. They were used to the routine. And that is how they learn from the repetition. Repetition. Repetition, my friends. Yes, yes, yes. So sing it again, that song. Say it again, that word. Read it again, their favorite book. The more your child hears and sees, the more they're going to learn. The more they're going to learn, and the more confident they become as learners. Yes, repetition. And look, it's not that repetition is funny or cute. It's science. Science. It's science, baby. Science is telling us repetition. Repetition. So how are you going to use repetition intentionally? What are you going to do? Let me know in the comment section what you're going to do. Also, what is your child's favorite book? What book is the book that gets read over and over and over again in your in your child's in your house, in your household? You have to let me know, what is that book that gets read over and over again in your home? Or what book as a teacher do you read nonstop every day in the classroom? What's the most popular book? Let me know. I'm interested in knowing, and I'm also interested in knowing how you are going to intentionally use repetition. What's that look like for you? All right, friends, I hope that you enjoyed today's conversation. I certainly did. I love this topic about repetition. I can talk about it for hours and days and read tons of research on it because it's really science. It is science. It has been proven over and over again how powerful repetition is when it comes to the way children learn. And so I'm always going to advocate for it. I'm a repetition stan. And so we can talk about it. But anyway, I thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and don't forget to tap the notification bell so that way you'll know every time I post a new podcast. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you again. And make sure you share this with everyone you know that likes to talk about young learners, preschool education, early childhood education, so on and so forth. I'll see you all on the next video. And for now, goodbye. Hey. We're talking about repetition. Hey. I can't make up a song. I was trying to make up a song. We're talking about repetition. How's that sound? Yeah, no, it's not good. I know. All right, let's hang it up.